Welcome to the Slay Your Day Show with Avi Vatsa.
All right, welcome to the Slay Your Day Show. I'm your host, Avi V, and today we're going to talk about how to succeed as an entrepreneur with David Breyer. It's my honor to introduce you to my idol and mentor, the god of branding, the slayer of the mundane, the liberator of awesome, Google's #1 rebranding expert and best-selling author, David Breyer. David Breyer is the world's #1 branding guru with a career spanning over 40 years. David is a thought leader in branding. He is the recipient of over 330 international awards, including the Presidential Ambassador for Global Entrepreneurship. And his articles on entrepreneurship and branding have been featured in Forbes, Inc. magazine, New York Times, AdWeek, and hundreds of other publications. He has branded global brands like Estee Lauder and Rolling Stones magazine to small businesses and even cities. He is the man, the myth, the legend. Please welcome David Breyer. How are you doing, my man?
Well, if I wasn't awake, prior to listening to that, I'm certainly awake now, man. I'm doing great.
Awesome. So look, I look up to you a lot. I've been following you for the last 7 years. I've read your articles. You really helped me grow my business. So I just wanted to, talk to you about, like, you work with a lot of entrepreneurs, and like, what's the biggest thing you've seen is like the difference between a successful entrepreneur and an unsuccessful entrepreneur?
A lot of layers to that particular onion, but I'll tackle a couple. So, one is obviously, let's get really fundamental. One is the ones that make it are the ones that keep showing up, but they don't just keep showing up. They keep showing up with consistency and continuity, and if they just show up with those two, they're going to work really hard. They have to add this other component while differentiating themselves from all the other stuff out there. Because otherwise, you're just, look, there's on the billions of people on this planet, there are, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands who are showing up every day, putting in the hustle, adding to the noise out there, boom, 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 boom. How are you and I going to notice one from another? And that's the problem that the successful entrepreneurs solve. It's like they refuse to blend in. They refuse to be just an ingredient in the mix of a delicious little meal of opportunity, So that's one of the many things. But you mix that in with differentiation, and you start to have the core ingredients for success.
Right. That's actually very true. So you focus a lot on differentiation, and in your book, Brand Intervention, you say branding is the art of differentiation.
Correct.
And we had Jeremy Ryan Slade 2 weeks ago on our podcast when he was talking about personal branding, and he mentioned you want to brand your business, but you also want to brand yourself as the entrepreneur, the CEO. Is that true?
Well, 100%. Let's look at the brands let's look at the companies that we all know and respect in the world. What are the ones that we tend to resonate toward? Well, why is it that so many of us know and connect with Apple? And even though technologically, it's like, yeah, we've got Samsung, Samsung and Apple, they've got comparable things. Sometimes one is over the other, but they're comparable enough. But yet Samsung is a faceless entity. Who and what is a Samsung? Now, if they were really smart, they would turn it into hey, here's this guy, Sam. Oh, his last name is Sung, and it's and here's his sister Lucy Sung, and there's the Sung family, and so anyway, but they could, of course, they can have a competition. They can have a Sung along, and then they can have a lot of fun. But the bottom line is with all of that, it's like we respond to brands that have a human connection. Richard Branson with Virgin, Gary Vee with VaynerMedia, and hell, look at Shark Tank. If Shark Tank didn't have the human component and literally just had, okay, there's these invisible entrepreneurs who are just plunking down dollars to put down an offer, it would lose the humanity. We connect to people, feelings, ideas. We love to know from where is this idea originating? That's what we love to know. It's like if it's faceless, if it's without story, if it's without humanity, it has its impact is diluted exponentially.
That's amazing. That's so true. Okay. And so then how do you do that? How do you differentiate?
Well, I mean, growing up in New York, I basically, if you didn't have swagger, and what I mean by swagger, I don't just mean like, okay, you can kind of walk, hey, yo, man, what's up? What's going on? What's going down? Hey, brother, what's going on? That's not what I mean by swagger. What I mean is swagger. It's kind of like swagger is an element of confidence. Swagger is showing up and someone gives you some pushback and you're like, get used to disappointment. It's like you are not wavering. And so that element of being able to kind of show up with a presence, that is what it was like in New York City. Otherwise, you would either be picked on, or you'd be overlooked, or you'd be just you'd be in the shadows. So you kind of had to put your stake in the ground. And that's what I do on all of for those that follow me in terms of my content, my articles, my videos. I always am looking at what I'm putting out from this standpoint. Is this just an echo of stuff that's already been said? Because if that's the case, let's look at this. That makes me redundant. I never want to be seen as redundant. I refuse to be seen as redundant. I don't want to just be seen as, oh, this is David's idea of what's been out there. No, if I'm going to go out there, I want to disrupt it. I want to shake things up. I want to open people's eyes. If I am not achieving getting people to go, wait a second, I never looked at that way before. If I am not hitting on that at least 7 to 8 times out of 10, I am letting myself down and I am letting others down. So I refuse to be an echo. I refuse to be a redundant repetition, a regurgitation machine. And 95 or more % of the people putting stuff out in the world, they're regurgitating what's already been done. So
Right.
that's the thing, and that's how I do it. And I make sure, and I go, okay, well, how am I going to do it? I'm going to do it with story. I'm going to do it with image. I'm going to do it with video. I'm going to do it with song. I'm going to do it with dance. I'm going to do it with making coffee. I'm going to do it. What are the things that make up my kind of little ecosystem of David Breyer that people come to know? And I get into it unapologetically. You can never, ever shrink your way to greatness. You can never, ever be remarkable and be, I'm going to sort of be tentative. It's like, I'll throw this out there, and if it doesn't offend anybody, maybe I'll put a little more push behind it. Bam! That is a losing way to operate. You can't do that.
With the swagger, for sure. You
Swagger.
come out with the swagger. But, that reminds me of something interesting. So I don't know if you knew, but I was actually an actor. So I'm still an actor. I do theater. So I've done 97 theater productions. And I went to acting school, and the acting coach, the guru, really drilled it in us that everything that there is to create has already been created. So there is nothing new. You just have to copy and put your twist to it. And and I think a lot of people get that. Even the marketing courses that I've done, it's like you just copy your competitor and just put a different twist to it. Don't copy, but model it on your competitor, right? But then you come out and you're like, no, let's differentiate. And that's cliche. So how do you do you think that's true or what?
With all the disruption that I advocate and practice, I don't ignore what works. It's a balance. Now I go, okay, but it's knowing how to observe. The observational ability of many entrepreneurs, I find, falls short of what it should and could be. They're asking the wrong questions. They're like, what did they do that was successful? Oh, they did 3 of these, and then they followed it up by 2 of those, and then they put a little whipped cream and a cherry on top. Oh, okay, so instead of whipped cream and cherry on top, we're going to put a little bit of this kind of cream and a slice of mango on top. It's like, no. Why they didn't dig deep enough? They're looking at the surface. They're looking at the end the final resulting actions. That's the flaw. They don't look at why did they do that? What problem did that solve? That's how to look. So when you're looking at, okay, we're introducing a blah, blah, blah to the industry. It could be a product, it could be a service, it could be whatever. Say, okay, we're doing that. What's already there? Oh, well, there's already 10 leaders that are out there who are all competing for that space. Good. What are they doing that's working? Which one's really standing out? Why is that? What is that one doing? Not what's it done. And let's just because it's like, and here's the parallel for everyone to understand that's watching this. When I speak to clients and I'm interviewing them, that I'll interview them and I'll say, well, and you want to do blank? And they're like, well, we need a blank. That's a very common start of the discussion. They may say, we need a logo. We need a new tagline. We need a new story. Now that is a conclusion. That's the end of their thinking process. I never accept the end of their thinking process. That's their conclusion. 90+%, it's wrong. Period. Statistically, it's wrong. So I don't accept that end conclusion. That's the end of their thinking process. I want to get the data that preceded that. So I'm like, and why that? So, here's their conclusion. I go, why that? And then they go, well, blah, 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 an observation. I say, oh, good. And what else did you observe? Good. Some data. Good. And then from that data, I can start to actually intelligently observe. I can't intelligently observe just accepting their conclusion. Same thing. You don't look at a competitor and you say, oh, well, they're doing 7 ads a week. We'll do 8. What the hell is that? It's the most surface, pathetically. Their salespeople always say hello when they get on the phone. We're going to say hello twice. You know what I mean? I'm giving you ridiculous examples, but they're not that ridiculous. That's the kind of thinking that goes into it. So that's the thing. You want to look and you go, okay, why? Why are they saying hello? Well, because no one else is. Oh, you see, that's a fact that preceded that conclusion, that action. No one else is saying hello. What else aren't they doing? That would be where I'd go. What else are they? Well, they're not asking how they are. They're not actually, they're not interested. They're more interesting. They're asking less. They're pitching more. These are the things that I look at. Let's break it out. What else can we observe and extract from that?
Nice. Okay. So yeah, and plus, like you said, you put your own flavor, your swagger to it, right? And also find all these little points of differentiation. I saw on your website you were branding like a financial company, a financial newsletter company. Now that's like a boring ass old market. Everybody does it exactly the same. How did you find a differentiator in that kind of space?
Well, the basic thing is that there's a few things that I know, having done this as long as I've done it. One is the amount of ingenuity in business is very little. That's why we notice the Elon Musks of the world. That's why we notice the Steve Jobses of the world. That's why Bill Gates does not get us excited, because frankly, he's boring. Bill is dull. Bill, if you're listening to this, shake it up, dude. It's like, get a new haircut, change your shirt. You've been wearing that same stupid little shirt for 3 decades. Boring, dude. Boring. Shake it up. Wear some shades. Get a new hairdo. Bleach your hair like Guy Fieri. Anyway, but the thing is the ingenuity is so lacking that we need to, if we know that, all we have to do is be willing to be courageous enough to know that the greatest risk lies in being dull. The greatest risk lies in, you know what? Let's play it safe. You want a greatest risk? Let's play it safe. We don't want to offend anybody. We don't want to ruffle any feathers. Let's just kind of stay in this nice little comfortable lane of mediocrity. If you want a comfortably dull, boring, near-death life experience, that's the thing to do. Is go, let's just play it safe, man. We don't want to offend any other. No, you know what? I'd rather offend, because those you're offending, the likelihood is that they're the old guards of something that's very outdated.
Right. Wow. That's huge. Okay. And so in your branding process, do you like, so I read a couple of books, like how many books are there written on branding? 2000 a year or something?
Well, per year, I don't know, but right now, if you were to go to Amazon and type in branding under books, you would have over 21,000 actual books on the topic of
21,000
branding.
books. Wow. So I was actually doing one of those books before I read your book. And, a lot of focus was on personality types and, finding your, personalities, different types of personalities, and adding that personality in, like, the psychological disc assessment and all of that. Do you use that too?
No,
Why not?
because the laziest way to observe is by having these crutches of, oh, what can we put labels on and what can we put in certain boxes. The bottom line is here's what that author told everybody. You're too stupid to think and observe for yourself, so I'm going to give you some boxes that you can put things into. Seriously, if someone understands the ability to observe, why do they need a crutch? The weakest people in society, in business, in the world, are those who are just quick. Let's label some things. Oh, we don't agree with your blah, 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 blah. You're a blah, 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 blah. I've now labeled you. I've now put you in a box. That bottom line is that's the adult version of bullying. It's the adult version of bullying, and it's BS. It's complete bullshit. Wow. And it is an acknowledgement that I cannot think for myself, therefore I'm going to label you. I can't observe for myself, therefore I'm going to label you. By labeling you, I can now control you, and I'll let you know when you can come out and play.
Wow. That's so true, actually. So it all boils down to your personal observation and your ability to think.
Completely.
Okay. And what if like someone thinks that they don't have that talent, that inventiveness, or that personality, or that swagger naturally? They weren't born with it. Can they develop it? Or like, what advice can you give them?
Yes, they can develop it. I mean, it can be developed. I mean, some people have a natural inclination toward being a little disruptive and being a little rebellious, and others are not. There are others who like, they live their lives being, it's kind of being very, sort of like, going to kind of just stay in the lane, not going to challenge anything too much. Ooh, that may kind of cause a little bit more motion and kind of like a little, we're going to get into it. And I'd rather get into it than just show up and have to conform. Conformity is what the hell is conformity other than a freaking death sentence? Anybody that has convinced any of us that we are here to fit in was selling something. They were selling something. They're not an ally. Anybody that convinces you or me that their idea and concept of us is more accurate than our idea and concept of us is not an ally or a friend. They're actually an enemy. So the bottom line is I believe firmly in the power of the individual. I believe firmly in the power of the individual to be able to see for themselves, to look for themselves, to open their eyes so that they can see what's out there. And by doing that, it will help others discover them, because they'll attract like-minded individuals who are willing to challenge and not conform. So, wow. Sometimes it's challenging, but that's why I created my masterclass, because, while I work with clients around the world, others are not yet like ready, either investment wise or to take the deep dive that's involved. That's why I put together in 2020, I put together my 9-week masterclass, which, I've put 72 entrepreneurs in the world through that program, and they've so far generated in excess of 102 million in sales and revenue. In fact, my buddy, I just saw this morning. Actually, it was very funny. Corey Warfield, who is a brilliant guy out of Chicago, successful entrepreneur, etc. He's got almost 500,000 followers on LinkedIn, and he just said, "Hey, my buddy David Breyer, he's got this masterclass that's coming up," and he just touted it because he knows people who have done the program, and he says, and it's changed their lives. And so, anyway, that's pretty exciting.
I did the program. It changed my life. It's the best program ever. Like, seriously, after just finishing that program in March, we had our highest ever month in sales, and we rebranded ourselves. So I did it. It is amazing. How can people find out more about the masterclass? I think it's brandinterventionmasterclass.com.
I believe so. You know what? That's a damn good question. I'm gonna check that right this very second. Let's make sure that's the one. Because let's see here.
No, that's not the one.
Nope, that's not the one. That's not the one. And so that was something I actually had reserved some time ago, but I haven't activated it. I'm gonna actually just pull it up. But ask me another question while we're doing that.
Absolutely. So you talk a lot about, like, you cannot have cliches in your. Firstly, what is messaging? How to nail down the message of your company?
Well, the wrong place to look is where almost everybody does look. They go, "What's our mission? What's our thing? Let's contemplate on our navel. Let's look at our lint versus everybody else's lint in their navel." It's like, no. What happens is the thing that needs to be done is you need to look outside at you're going into a space where there are already people already have solutions for what you're offering, right? Not saying that they're right, not saying that they're wrong, not saying that they're better, worse, or whatever, but there are solutions. Let's say you had a way to help people improve their health and well-being. Okay, there are lots of solutions where people are going for those types of things. Some are going to find it in terms of supplements. Some are going to find it in terms of some YouTube personality. Someone's going to find it someone on Instagram. Someone's going to find it from a book. There are lots of places where people can turn to. That's where you need to look, and you go, okay, what am I doing? What am I making available that isn't out there? The reason you're asking it that way is because now you're looking at that's not clearly offered, because now you're looking at it from a lens of differentiation. You're looking at it from a lens of how is this going to do things in either an easier way, a faster way, a smarter way, a more honest way, a less strenuous way, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. These are all points of differentiation. And then once you establish how you do it differently, now you need to basically now work on how do you communicate it differently? How do you, in what way? With words, with images. I mean, having done the masterclass, you know that there's 23 key differentiators that any one business can apply to their brand.
Right.
So that's the thing.
And I think differentiation, a lot of people think branding it's part of marketing. And so it's only about your marketing materials. But like, I think differentiation could also be applied at every different point of the business, right? Every single department. Is that true? How could you do that?
First of all, to your point. So, I mean, it's like, so every business, anyone who's an entrepreneur, CEO, whatever, focus is always on sales. How do we get sales? Well, sales is the end result of a couple of actions. Sales, what is sales? Sales is the harvesting of the seeds planted. You're harvesting seeds that are planted. Okay. Well, what happened? Well, how does that happen? Well, there's something that precedes that. There's this activity called marketing. The job of marketing is simply to distribute and get the seeds out there, and people say, "Hey, we've got these seeds. They're amazing, and here's why you should get those seeds, and here's why you should consider these seeds versus other seeds." That's the job of marketing, is to execute, get out there. The job of marketing is not to create a brand. Branding precedes that. So we have branding that defines what kind of seeds do we offer? How are our seeds different? How are our seeds? What's the role of our seeds in the world? That's the job of branding. So branding precedes marketing, which precedes sales. Every sale will have marketing and branding that preceded it. So
Wow.
if you look in your business, you go, well, I sold blank. I can guarantee you there was a marketing effort that preceded it. And prior to that, whether you did it knowingly or unknowingly, whether you did it deliberately where you were conscious of it, or it happened just by chance, you had the marketing and the branding that preceded it.
Wow. Okay. So the way we deliver, the way we interact with customers, all of that is part of branding in a way.
100%. Why is it, what? I mean, I went to a store. My wife and I had gone to a store probably, I don't know, 12 years ago, 13 years ago to buy some sneakers. That's not a memorable experience, buying sneakers. But we went there. The guy took the time. He was a good salesperson, bought the sneakers. 6 days later, we get a handwritten postcard. Hey, wanted to follow up. How are your sneakers? How's it going? I mean, and he literally, it was not an auto-generated. It wasn't an email. Everyone's doing emails. Why do what everyone else is doing? So what did he do? One is he took the time to, first of all, write, which, second of all, actually communicated after the sale, which almost no one does. So he communicated after the sale. Two, he wrote. Three, he wrote not in an electronic or automated way, but actually he took the time to hand write it. You could see it was his own handwriting. He signed it in a postcard. Actually, it was actually in a fold over little note that was in a small personal envelope. So wow. So everything about it was, and after that, I was like, I literally turned to my wife. I said, I have never in my life been sent first of all, any communication after I bought something like sneakers from anyone ever. So he's the first one, and it's personal, and it's not automated. And he said, and he made some comment that was completely related to our experience when we were in there, how you and your wife were in the other day. So, I mean, it was just like, holy, just that simple gesture is an example of branding in action.
That's huge. Okay. Wow. Yeah. And so did you buy more sneakers from him?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And we asked for him by name. Are you kidding?
That's amazing. Yeah. Think about it. Like sneakers, all these consumer goods. No one does that. That's pretty
right.
Cool.
That's right.
Awesome. And so that's from like a sneaker showroom, but then you branded an entire city. How did you even do that? How does that even work?
Well, first of all, what was very cool was 12 months after the rebrand, they saw a 500% increase, a 5 times increase in walk-in tourism into the city, which is crazy.
Wow.
What I was looking at was, I remember it was a very interesting project because I'm branding a city, first city that I branded. And what happened was I went around to about 7 or 8 surrounding cities that are competing for the same traffic, because we have a couple of very, like a big urban area with a couple of million people about an hour and 15 minutes away from the city that I'm branding. So I'm like, that's the target. They want to attract people from there to like come over, stay overnight, be a day tripper or whatever. So what ends up happening is I look at these, and being a New Yorker, I have the advantage of having an outsider's viewpoint. Around here, people love things having to do with nature, and they love trees and nature and lakes and all this kind of stuff. Well, I get these 7 or 8 cities. I look at all of their covers. Every one of them had a picture of either a leaf or a tree or a body of water, and they were all a photograph, and they were all full color. So you could literally change. Literally, you could swap out the city's name and logo that was at the top of each of these things with the other, because it told you nothing about that. Who cares? So we didn't need to remind that big urban target, hey, we got green things growing out of the ground here. That was not a trigger for sales. So what happened was I showed it to the executive director, and I said, tell me what you see. She goes, well, this one has this nice picture of this, and that one, oh, really like that reflection of that on the thing. And I said, and she gave me her feedback, and I'm like, okay. I said, would you like to know what I see? She goes, sure. I said, I see a bunch of magazines that remind me that this part of the world that we're in has a lot of green things growing up from the ground. And she goes, oh my God. All of a sudden, it was like her eyes opened. She's like, oh my God. And I said, us also showing that we also have green stuff. I don't know that necessarily actually brands us as a city worthy of people saying, we're picking their greenery over the greenery of these cities. And so once she understood that, she was like, oh my God. And that's when, and so revamped it, had a totally different cover with food and people and things and stuff that made you want to go, oh my God, that looks like an amazing place to go to, but it differentiated. I mean, now you put it up against the others and it was like night and day. And it was just startling because I was looking at the factor of they're already advertising. They already are doing various things. How do we now convert these channels of communication into channels of differentiation? I'd rather change a channel of communication and convert into a channel of differentiation than leave it the same.
That's huge.
And the result was 500% increase in 12 months with no change in their ad budget.
Wow. So more people, tourists, 500% increase in tourism.
Yeah.
That's big. All right.
Yeah.
I think you should be a branding for all the cities and states of the world.
Yeah.
That's where you're going, man.
Yeah.
Well, all right. And so this show is called Slay Your Day, and it's all about productivity and about, expansion and business. So I'm like in awe of how you look so young and so have so much energy and how you keep slaying every day. Like you get a lot of shit done in a very small amount of time. How do you do it?
I'm driven, but I'm not driven by what's out there. What happens in the world, what happens and stuff like that. It's not like external. I don't have external stimuli that are saying, oh, blah, 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 blah. No, I'm driven because of my own. I know how much people and entrepreneurs are capable of producing. And to have them produce less it's a crime. It's a crime against themselves. It's a crime against their dreams. It's their dreams that are at stake. And so, that's the thing that inspires me. So I just lean into it. I lean into it heavily, and I don't waffle. I guess that if I were to say anything, I don't waffle on what I know to be true. I don't waffle on my observations. I mean, if I'm working with somebody, I'm like, and I know that as an entrepreneur, they're not being ferocious enough, or they're not being fierce enough, or they're not being, or they're not having enough conviction. They're like, do you believe in what you're selling? Yeah, I believe it. I said, well, you're not convincing me. Yeah, I believe it. No, what the hell is that? It's like, come on. It's like, I crack the whip because it lights people up. I love lighting people up. I feed off of that, just seeing that spark come alive in people.
Wow. All right. And every day you create that newly. Because a lot of people it becomes like a grind, same day again, do the daily routine. How do you have a daily routine? Except for drinking coffee every day.
Do I have a daily routine? It's hard. That's hard to answer because of the fact that it's like it changes a lot based on the projects and stuff going on. My thing with my daily routine is probably less based on the things to do, the actual activities, the little checklist of items to do. but I'd say a few things. One is that making a list the night before for the next day is super helpful, because otherwise we literally become reactionary. Oh my God, we check our emails, or we check our texts, so we check. Oh, we respond to we respond. That's not there's not enough control. So that's one thing. It's like what's on my list, and not on my list now. And there's two ways to make a list. One is I can make a list from the standpoint of respond quickly to every inquiry that comes in or something like that. That's not the kind of list I'm talking about. That's, again, more reactionary. No, this is like, what's the list? I'm going to get blank done. I'm going to get blank done. I'm going to resolve blah. I'm going to eliminate blah. I'm going to remedy blah. Things that you are doing proactively, a proactive list. And, I have a regimen with regard to, exercise. And it's just good. It's just a good thing to do. It's just like, and I can go into it, and it was actually just over the past few months that I actually started to do this, because of one of the people that had done the masterclass. I said, hey, I need a regimen, and she's like, good, I'm gonna do it. And she's from Astoria, Queens, so she's from the part of the world that I'm from, and she goes, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this, and every other day you're gonna do this, you're gonna do two of these and two of these and two of these, and it's like, and I made it my job. I'm gonna go, you know what, I'm gonna do it, and when I'm done, I'm gonna say exercise done, and to push through the hard parts. You go, oh, it's like, damn, I don't like the way those muscles are feeling. It's like, and that's, sometimes you go, oh, let me nurse those little babies. Nursing's for sissies. Come on, you gotta push through. You just gotta push through. So, there's that. There's, I think those are probably two, those disciplinary points, and to have fun, and to not be so focused on. And I think this is the big mistake for many. It's like, it's easy to get focused on one's own challenges, one's own things that they're dealing with, that it becomes an insular kind of thing. And it's like, to me, if I ever find myself a little too focused inwardly, I will make sure, who am I going to help? Which client am I going to call up and assist? It's like I immediately reverse that, because if, to the extent that we are helping others, is the extent that we recognize our own value. To the extent that we're actually, putting out our attention into the environment, is the extent that we're actually more in charge. So those are the things that I kind of monitor as a little monitor point.
That's gold. I love that. So whenever you're feeling like introverted, insular, like focused on your challenges, you actually just ask yourself, who can I help, and how can I help them?
Yes.
And then, wow, that's amazing. That makes a lot of sense, actually. And then, do you believe in this 4 a.m. routine thing, that if you wake up early, then only then you can be a millionaire kind of thing?
No, I think that's a wonderful dramatization. I think that's, look, I understand that sometimes that needs to be done, and I get that. And you have I don't find that to be sustainable. It's I know one particular millionaire who subscribes to that. It's like, every day he gets up at like 3:30, because he knows that he wants to beat everyone else. And I'm like, okay, fine. If that's working for him, that's fine. That's great. And I know that there's some others who subscribe to that. I don't find it to be terribly sustainable. I just don't. So no, I don't agree.
Okay, and so, like, you met a lot of millionaires, and you're successful yourself.
Yep.
From Damon John to whoever, people follow you. So it doesn't actually, there's no like direct correlation between waking up at 4 a.m. to being a millionaire.
No, I think one can be in. I think if one's financial success is reliant upon when one wakes up one's body, I think that's really let's look at the logic of that. I have to wake my body up at this particular time of the day in order to be financially successful. How causative is one being? It's like, so I've got to wake up this thing, this little guy right here. Got to wake this up at a particular time of the day, and then what? How the hell does that parallel? That doesn't No, there are other things that one is doing. Now, here's the other thing that tells me. Why am I? I mean, look. I mean, I'm financially successful. I have great success, and I have great productivity and all of that. But I don't. That's not dependent on waking this thing up at a particular time of the day. It's like to me, what it's dependent on is when I have wakened this up, what am I doing with it so that I actually get more done per hour than most people think is possible? That to
Right.
me is the better question.
That's right. And then that comes back to the point of writing that list of the previous night, what needs to be done, right?
Yeah.
And what about like spending 2 hours after waking up at 4 o'clock meditating? Do you do something like that? Like, meditating, writing a journal and stuff like that. Is that helpful in terms of productivity?
No, I mean, no. I study. I mean, I study. I'm for those that know me, I'm very spiritual, and I study texts that I personally find very, very rewarding and very stabilizing, and I fit that into my weekly schedule. But as far as journaling, the journaling thing to me, the closest I come to journaling is writing social media posts.
That's actually a good way, and it's true. You do journal your life.
Yeah, that's right.
Awesome, man. This was an amazing conversation, very stimulating, very eye-opening, really good key takeaways. Branding is art of differentiation. Whenever you're feeling low or introverted, ask yourself who you can help and go and help them. Oh my God, I love it. Make that list, man, before sleeping every night. Okay, cool. Good. All right, guys. And then if anyone wants to take this to the next level, you have a free training, a free webinar called what's it called again?
Oh, well, I will tell you exactly what it's called. I'll pull it up on my laptop.
Why aren't customers buying from you?
Well, there's that, and there's that one, plus there is let me get the other one. There's two titles that we have. There's that one, and then there's the no, not that one. There we go. The missing sales tool to 10x your business. So it's there's those two. There's one, one is why aren't customers buying from you, and then the other is the missing sales tool to 10x your business.
And that's completely free. It's like a 1-hour training.
Yeah, completely free. People who have been attending those have been pretty blown away because it really goes over. It shows that whether you're big or whether you're small, there are mistakes that you can make, and there have been casualties where businesses that have been around for decades are now out of business because they didn't apply what I cover in this particular webinar. And I go over how it relates to sales, how it relates to one of the most successful product launches in the history of business, and how the principles behind those and how you can actually implement those right now for your business.
Awesome. And then I'll put the link of that training below in our podcast. And you have a book called Brand Intervention. It's on Amazon. And another one called Rise. Oh, there it is.
This one?
That one. The best book ever written on branding.
Yes.
Forward by who?
Damon John.
What?
Right there.
That's
my buddy Damon. Yep.
That's
it's absolutely. Look, I mean, I'm not the only one who appreciates it. This guy appreciates it too. So so we got boom. There we go.
That's awesome. All right, guys. If you want to watch this free training, you can press the link below and check out David Breyer. Rising Above the Noise.com is his website. I'll put that link in as well. And thank you, David, for taking out the time and being on this show. It was an absolute honor. Thank you.
Absolutely. 100%.
All right, guys, keep slaying. I'll see you next week, Wednesday, 10 a.m. Eastern. Slay your day, guys. Bye.
Thanks so much, Avi.
The Slay Your Day Show with Avi Vatsa.